So running a pig farm sustainable is nowadays quite a challenge because, of course, farmers need to earn enough money, but at the same time, they also have to reduce negative environmental impacts, and they should improve animal welfare, as well as they should have a positive impact on the whole society. And last but not least, they should be also happy with what they're doing. So it would be very handy to have a kind of a sustainability assessment tool where farmers can fill in their on-farm data and receive a feedback about their sustainability performance so that they can see where are their strengths and weaknesses in terms of sustainability. And this was actually the aim of a project called Sustainable Pig Production Systems, in which I did my PhD, and we were a team of different scientists. So we had social scientists, environmental scientists involved, but also economists and animal welfare scientists from different countries and different partners. And in my PhD, I was dealing with the question how to get from many indicators to an integrated sustainability assessment, because there are so many aspects to be looked at on a farm, and sometimes it would be handy to have like more an overview to see where you can improve your farm. And a suitable framework to do so is a multi-criteria assessment, because on one hand you get information on the indicator level. So for example, you can see how is the performance of my farm in terms of lameness, but you also get an overview on the, for example, animal welfare, for example, here in that case about injuries and disease. When developing such a sustainability assessment tool, well, the first aspect is actually to define sustainability in the context of your tool. So instead, beside including economy, environment, and social sustainability, we also decided to include animal welfare as a fourth dimension. And then the next step is actually to select indicators, because there's so many aspects to be assessed, and this is also connected to the method. For example, biodiversity, you could either go to the field and count the species, which is very time-consuming, but you can also assess the methods to actually improve biodiversity on your field. And then the third step was actually to scale the indicators, because indicators have a lot of different units. So some were just questions about yes, no, or in percentage. And we wanted to have a uniform scale from 0 worst to 100 best. And this was based on literature and experience from the scientists. And then the next step was actually to weigh indicators within sub-themes and sub-themes within themes. And this was done with a Delphi-like approach. So we asked experts to allocate weights and ask them if they agree in a second round with the allocated weights. And last but not least, we took all this information we gathered during this process and combined it to a tool to really calculate these theme level scores. And then we took this sustainability assessment tool and we visited pig farms. So we went to visit 63 European pig farms. You can see here the diversity of farms. So we went to visit organic farms, but also conventional farms, farms with free-range pigs, but also for pigs that were kept inside. And then, and here I would like to present you an overview of on theme level. So what we can see here is a star-like pattern. That means like in some themes, farms were performing better than in others. And this was quite similar across the 3 different farm types. And when we have a closer look at some selected themes, we found, for example, that especially the themes human-animal relationship and water were 2 themes in which farms were performing quite good, whereas in the themes biodiversity and also comfort for the pigs, there is still quite a lot of room for improvements on these farms. So this brings me to the first conclusion. So it is a comprehensive tool, but transparency is key when developing such a tool, and it also needs more validation, and the question remains like, are there actually trade-offs between aspects of sustainability? And this was what I was looking at in my second part of my PhD. So I looked at trade-offs between animal welfare and the environment, and I was looking whether farms differing in animal welfare improvement measures, in our case providing bedding and an outrun, if they also differ in terms of environmental impacts. Because when you provide, for example, an outrun to your pigs, pigs might move more, so they might need more feed, which could have an impact on the environment. And if you provide bedding, like the manure management is changing, and this could lead to different emissions being released, which could also have potentially an impact on the environment. So I grouped, I made 3 groups of farms. So some farms, in these farms, pigs had only access to a fully slatted floor, so without bedding. Then one group, pigs had access to a bedded area. In a third group, pigs also had access to an outrun. And I was assessing, on one hand, the animal welfare with 10 animal-based indicators, and I was also assessing the environmental impacts with a life cycle assessment, where I used on-farm data and also background data in order to calculate the global warming, the acidification, and the eutrophication. And what I found is that, yes, farms with bedding, they had better performance in terms of animal welfare because pigs are actually able to express their exploratory behavior, but the acidification was worse on those farms, whereas the global warming potential was not affected by providing of bedding. So this brings me to the conclusion of this part. Yes, there are trade-offs, but management matters. So also on farms with bedding, it is possible to have a low acidification potential. And it would be very interesting also to look at other interactions, so for example, with the economy or the social sustainability. And in that sense, I would like to thank you for your attention.